On the Vince Everett Ellison Show, looks like the Democrats and the left have another martyr. The young man who was involved in the Michael Brown shooting, who told the lie, hands up, don't shoot. Yeah, his name is Dorian Johnson. He was killed last night. We're going to talk about that today on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. Let's get this thing started. Y'all, this is not a happy occasion. It's really sad. It is also something that you saw coming. It's like a slow motion car wreck. And you ask the question, when is it going to ever stop? And as long as Democrats run the show, the answer is never. The young man who was the eyewitness to the Michael Brown murder, and for you that may have forgotten, Michael Brown was a young man in Ferguson, young black man, that was shot by the white police officer, Officer Dorian Johnson. This happened on August 29th, 2014. Wow, it didn't seem like it's that long ago. Wow, almost 11 years ago. Wow, it didn't seem like it was that long. But Michael Brown was a young black man. Ferguson is a suburb of St. Louis. And Michael Brown was shot. He was unarmed. He was shot by a white police officer. And when the news cameras came around and started asking what happened, this young black man by the name of Dorian Johnson came up. And he said that he was with Michael Brown when he got shot, and Michael put up his hands and told the cop, hands up, don't shoot. And was getting ready to get down, and the cop shot him and killed him anyway.
Public. He turned around and he put his hands in the air, and he started to get down, but the officer still approached with his weapon drawn, and he fired several more shots. His hands were up. He never plunged at the officer in no type of manner. We were just walking down, minding our own business. His hands immediately went in the air, and he turned around towards the officer face to face. He started to tell the officer that he was unarmed and that you should stop shooting me. And listening back now, hands up, don't shoot was just one lie of several in those statements, the first being that we were just minding our own business claim. Brown and Johnson were confronted by Officer Dorian Johnson because Brown had just robbed a local convenience store with Johnson present, if not participating. But it was the hands up, don't shoot lie that would be remembered, perpetuated so heavily, politically and culturally, that people believed it despite an Obama Justice Department investigation finding that it did not happen, and no charges from a grand jury against Officer Dorian Johnson because it did not happen.
Well, that started a lot of problems. Riots, Black Lives Matter, everybody came out, even NFL teams and people all over the world had out this clarion call, hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. And it started a train reaction of a lie that had already been told. The first lie was Trayvon Martin. Now, Trayvon Martin was killed February 26, 2012. So Michael Brown came after Trayvon Martin. As you recall, Trayvon Martin was shot by George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman supposedly just followed Trayvon Martin because Trayvon Martin was black and decided to just shoot him. Both of these turned out to be a lie. And the press knew it was a lie. And they used these lies to gin up a false narrative in America that white police officers were going out there killing unarmed black men. Understand, if you look at these dates, they were 2012 and 2014. Question for all of you who were paying attention. Who was president during those times? You got it. Barack Obama. And Barack Obama used these as a cause to inflame racial hatred in America. He said, if I had a son, he looked like Trayvon. Black Lives Matter started after Michael Brown, and they just started just burning up cities and raising all kind of hell. Then George Floyd came after that, and they really went crazy. Here's the thing, y'all. All three of these incidents were lies. They're finding out now that the fentanyl killed George Floyd. George Floyd was a criminal's criminal. He was high on fentanyl. He had COVID. He was involved in criminal activity when the police came and got him because he was trying to pass a counterfeit 20. When the police came and tried to arrest him, he resisted arrest. Because he was so high on these narcotics, it took 4 officers to get him. While they was holding him for the ambulance to come and take him to the hospital, he died. And of course, the coroner said that the way that he was being held down may have caused his death. However, if he had not been on fentanyl and he had not been acting the way he had acted, he wouldn't have died. If he had just been a normal person laying there, nothing would have happened to him. But because of the fentanyl, because of his hyperactivity, because he wouldn't just stop and act right, all of this led to his death. They say that the police officer had his knee on his neck. Knee was not on his neck because he was hollering, I can't. He was talking all while he was on the ground. All while he was laying down on the ground, he was talking. Believe me, y'all, I've been choked before. It's not a nice experience. And when you're being choked, you can't talk. Let somebody choke you today and try to talk while they're choking you. So again, all three of these situations is a lie. And now the left has a new martyr. I promise you they searched very, very hard to see if Dorian was killed by a white cop or by a white man. He wasn't. They said, missed opportunity. So I'm going to read to y'all what the story says about this young black man who was killed. This is from CNN, so we hope it's accurate. It says a friend of Michael Brown who helped spark Hands Up, Don't Shoot, the Hands Up, Don't Shoot chant, dies after being shot in Ferguson. And it says 11 years ago, the officer's shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri sparked waves of protest against police brutality. The friend who was with Brown when it happened has been shot dead. Dorian Johnson, just 33 years old, was the victim of a shooting at 8:30 a.m. Sunday at a block of apartments less than a mile from where Brown died, according to Ferguson's police spokesman, Patricia Washington. Johnson's account of Brown's 2014 killing helped inspire the iconic Hands Up, Don't Shoot protest chant heard in demonstrations across the U.S. that year, though subsequent investigations called into question the details of Brown's actions before he died. It was a lie. Wasn't no subsequent investigations. What? Subsequent investigations called into question. Wasn't any question. That little joker lied. One person was taken into custody, but was released with no criminal charges filed, according to Melissa Price Smith, St. Louis County prosecuting attorney. Quote, this appears to be a domestic incident involving a claim of self-defense, Price Smith said in a statement, adding the case remains under investigation and her office remains in ongoing consultation with Ferguson police about possible future criminal charges. There had been earlier rumors that this was an officer-involved shooting. However, that information is incorrect. No officers, Ferguson or otherwise, were involved in this incident other than to begin our investigation, the police department said in a statement. So they tried to say that a police officer shot him, trying to get some mess started. This young man was just cannon fodder. Another young black man used for the political left to make sure that the black community stays in their subjugation, remains in fear, to make sure that black people never believe that they are full members of the United States, to make them live in fear, make them live in constant condemnation, make them afraid to walk the streets, make them afraid to try. These three incidents, Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, and George Floyd, set American race relations back almost 100 years. And all of them were concocted by the Democratic Party. All of them were lies. And now we have another. Dorian Johnson. They refuse to even say to this day, no one in the press on the left will admit that they lied. No one in the press will admit that all of these things were found out to be untrue. Matter of fact, as you saw, Barack Obama was president, right? You know what he did? After Al Sharpton and Ben Crump, the Justice Brothers, came down to these cities, got all of their street protesters bust in, and started burning these places down. Barack Obama then sent down the Justice Department. Eric Holder, it might have been Lynch. I think Eric Holder was over there at the time. And they wanted to find something, man. They wanted to find so badly that this police officer, because the Ferguson police investigated it. And they found that the police officer had told Dorian Johnson and Michael Brown, who were walking in the middle of the street, to get on the sidewalk. Michael Brown started talking trash to the officer. The officer pulled over. Him and Michael Brown got into it. Michael Brown started trying to get the officer's gun while he was fighting in the car. The gun went off, and Michael Brown started running. The cop pulls out the gun and tells Michael Brown to stop. Says Michael Brown turns around, starts charging at the cop, and that's when the cop lit him up. The Ferguson Police Department did an investigation, found out that most of this was true, maybe all of it. That Michael Brown had been in that car, he had his hand on that cop's gun, there was a discharge in the car, and that the way Michael Brown fell, he was shot in the front while he was coming toward that officer. And they cleared him. Well, Barack Obama said, no, we don't trust y'all. That's fine. So they sent their people down to do an investigation. Eric Holder's Justice Department investigated some people who had witnessed it. And these people say, we will testify on one condition. You don't tell anybody who we are or what we said, because they understood that there's a no snitching policy in the ghettos of black America. You can't tell the truth, man. Not these, you'll get killed for telling the truth. So, what happened? While the investigation was pursuing, they went crazy. Burning up stuff, walking through St. Louis, burning up stuff all over America. And then Eric Holder, after a few months, came and said, hey, you know what? It was true. Everything that the cops said was true. The hands up, don't shoot was a lie. And you didn't see anybody in the press retract their statements, stand up and say, my bad, nobody got fired. They burnt down this country. Riots all over the place. And no one was held accountable because that's what they wanted. Almost 40 people died in those riots. And they took the word of this, at the time, this young thug who still didn't straighten up his life. And now the police are saying he's dead. And the person that killed him has a self-defense claim that might stand up in court. People, will we ever learn? I don't think so. I think that the left has this love affair with criminals and criminality. They have this love affair with anything that is evil. Whether it be aborting babies, whether it be castrating little boys and calling them little girls, whether it be allowing illegal immigrants across the border, selling fentanyl on the street and sex trafficking. Whether it's hyping up young black men to go out there and drill, get police, and all these guys are walking around with 38s and 45s on their hips, and they're juggling these young men and they're fighting these guys in the streets and being disrespectful and not obeying the law and being prideful. So now, I guess they're going to try to make Dorian Johnson a hero. They're already trying to rewrite history and make it seem like that his hands up, don't shoot chant still has merit. Instead of the headline saying the little young black man that told a lie that started a riot has had karma come back on him. No. They're going to lament it like another civil rights leader has gotten taken down. Instead of them telling the truth, they said the young man that's told a lie that started riots all over this country has been shot and killed. They're going to say, in this headline, friend of Michael Brown who helped spark hands up, don't shoot chant dies after being shot in Ferguson. Headline should have been Little Liar. The liar that sparked billions of dollars worth of damage, hundreds of injuries, scores of murders, who didn't turn his life around. Was murdered in self-defense. Another part of the Democratic Party's cannon fodder and how they use black men as pawns in their political game. He was cannon fodder, y'all. He meant nothing to these people. So now the left has itself another martyr. I guess we can see a statue of him at the Smithsonian in the big cities and murals all over the place of him, as we have Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin and George Floyd. So now I guess he's going to have a mural now. It is poetic justice because most of the cats that ran the civil rights movement back in the day, they were criminals too. We just didn't have the ability to tell people about it at that time like we do now. We had to depend on the press for our information then, and the press, the Democratic Party press, all was a bunch of liars. This would have never come out if it had not been for the mainstream, for the conservative press. This little guy's lie and the lies of Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, and George Floyd would still be out there. They would have covered them up just like they covered up the crimes of Martin Luther King Jr. and Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and all the rest of them. They choose our leaders. And because they choose them, they're all a bunch of reprobates. They're all a bunch of criminals. They're all the worst people that walk the face of this earth. And as I say again, isn't it obvious? A tree is known by the fruit it bears. So we do not celebrate the fact that Mr. Dorian Johnson is dead. We only lament the fact that the young man did not straighten up his life, that he did not have a family. He did not get married, for as we know. He didn't have an adequate means of employment. He did not become a productive citizen. We hope that in this tragedy, more young men will wake up and understand that there are two ways you can go in America. And I think that we are selling a better product than the left. Our product is the suburbs, and the left is selling the ghettos. Our product is freedom, and the left is selling prisons. Our product is family, and the left is selling broken homes, 4 or 5 baby daddies inside of one household. Our product is belief in God and belief in America. And the left's product is belief in hate, envy, and destruction. Look at Dorian Johnson. Look at Michael Brown. Look at Trayvon Martin. Look at George Floyd. That is what the Democratic Party has in store for you if you keep falling behind this cabal of perverts, liars, psychopaths, and anti-Christian bigots. And I'm going to keep bringing this to you because I'm here to wake you up. And I hope I did you some good here today. So join me again for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, friends, Vince Everett Ellison is here. I want you to go to my website. And on my website, you're going to see a lot of great stuff, man. You're going to see that we got T-shirts, we got caps. You got my books, my documentaries. You got all kinds of stuff on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Go there. We're dropping new T-shirts. We're dropping new merchandise. My new book, The End of Tolerance, is there. The End of Tolerance. Make sure you get it. Make it #1. If you got my first 3, get The End of Tolerance. It's just as good. And it's telling us we have to end our tolerance with these leftists, these Democrats. We can no longer allow them to sexually groom our children. We can no longer allow them to castrate little boys and call them little girls, run God out of the public square, take away our guns, take away our sovereignty. No longer allow it. So go on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. That is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Hit merchandise. You'll see the T-shirts. You'll see the caps. You'll see the books. You'll see the documentaries. You'll see it all. And let's keep this ball rolling. God bless you.